coming up next, we have the man from Liverpool himself, Paddy the Baddy, taking on Tony Ferguson. And Rick, this one opened up very, very, very tall for Paddy the Baddy. He was anywhere from minus 380 to minus 400, depending on where you shop for your lines. And slowly but surely, it was bet in favor of Tony. Sent Paddy as far down as minus 245 on Tuesday of last week, which I would have loved to see. I just was not paying attention, truthfully, around that time. I was still recovering from our Green Bay trip. Now Paddy is back to around that minus 300 range, with Tony not as exciting of a dog as he once was, if you want to side with Tony, but he's still around plus 230, so you're doubling your money if he ends up pulling off an incredible upset here. Paddy won a very questionable fight against Jared Gordon last time out. I think that you can clip Paddy, you can hit him, you can even wobble him maybe, but he is going to hit you back hard, if not twice as hard. He's got some absolute firecrackers in his hands. And he's also a legit grappler, where spectacular and dangerous on the ground. I mean, he submitted Jordan Levitt, and for what it's worth, I know Jordan Levitt's stock might not be as high right now after that Chase Hooper fight, but I still respect him as one of the best in the division on the ground, and he submitted. Tony Ferguson, on the other hand, he's been training with Navy SEAL David Goggins for this fight, which is a fascinating character to be training with. He's in absolutely insane shape heading into this bout. And Rick, you and I have joked about it ever since the fight happened, ever since the odds released for this fight. We had been texting saying, I'm going to take Tony. I'm going to take Tony. I'm going to take Tony. With these odds, I'm not taking Tony. I think the insane shape piece is really interesting. And I just think it's an older fighter overcompensating for what was once greatness. And it's now, unfortunately, very, very much sadness. I thought he looked great against Mike Chandler. Then he got knocked out. I thought he should have steamrolled Nate Diaz. Then he got beat. Tony should not be fighting mixed martial arts anymore, in my opinion. But I'm kind of giving the prelude to what you're going to dive into with a much more actual MMA approach. I'm interested to hear your thoughts.
A little bit. I mean, Tony feels like one of those guys that needs to be saved by his corner. Like, he doesn't know when is good for him to stop, and it feels like he also knows how to market himself. Like, he's always been a little bit of an odd duck. Has some funny quips at press conferences. I'm sure he'll have some fun ones in this one. But he knows how to market himself, and I feel like that's sort of where that conditioning training piece is coming from. Like, everyone's sort of been like, oh, well, Tony, maybe. And that's how it sort of felt for like 5 of the last 6 losses for Tony, where every fight you're like, well, you never know with Tony, like, he could be able to do. But the issue is that speed and that athleticism has waned way too far. And he was relying on that. I mean, that's what made him good. That's what made him so unique and so weird, was he could get in and out and hit these weird angles, look away from you and dance, do all these little things to catch you off or get you not completely focused on the fight to where he'd be able to take advantage of it. And against a guy like Paddy, I don't think that you could really do that. I think Paddy's going to be able to wrestle him. And Tony has struggled with wrestlers in the past, in particular getting up once he's taken down. And Paddy's a guy that sometimes he will go for submission over position and be able to lose the position, but I don't think that Paddy's going to get submitted by Tony. Tony definitely could. He's got 9-0 record, and we all know how slippery he can be on the mat when it comes to submissions and grabbing them. But I don't know, man. I don't see Paddy getting hit clean because of his bad striking defense. Since Tony Ferguson is such an unorthodox striker, it's not the simple like leaves his chin up, gets hit with a left straight. It would be some sort of like up elbow as Paddy's trying to get overzealous on an entry where he like up elbows from the back, something like that would end up catching Paddy. But there's too many avenues to where I see Paddy winning, which really upsets me to say. And because of that, I've got no bet on this fight. But
okay, no, that's fair.
Yeah, I think Paddy wins. But what else do you have on this fight as well?
I'm with you in the sense, like, I used to be a big Paddy fan, and I was pulling for him in every sense. And then when he came at my boy Ariel Helwani, and the wise words of Ariel, when you come at the king, you best not miss. And Paddy missed pretty wide left with the stupid shit that he said about Ariel. But this is not going to be one where, to your point, like Paddy's got poor striking defense. He leaves that chin up. That chin is ready to be knocked when you leave it up. There is an avenue where it happens for Tony. It's just so slim. I don't think that Tony has any chance to be able to find that slim path to get him. And like that, Paddy's chin was going to be fine in this instance because Tony's so old. Like, this is just a gift from the UFC to a guy they're continuing to try to groom and move up the ranks and continue to move his storyline. We've got 2 of those right here with Ian Gary. They're trying to with Vicente Luque. Vicente Luque, a much harder foe, than Tony Ferguson. Very, very much more difficult. That's why I put some money on him. But both of these are kind of storyline movers. I think this is a basic bet. It could be a trap line. I don't care. I'm going with Paddy to win inside the distance, -130. And as his odds continue to climb, this could also move up a bit. His odds have started to move like a stock price fluctuation, in my opinion. And I think that they're going to slowly move back up. And the inside the distance will also move. So Paddy's either going to submit him or clock him. And it's unfortunate. But it quite literally is more of a Tony Ferguson fade than anything here. And I hate to see it. But, I mean, we've seen it with guys like BJ Penn. We've seen it with other older guys. Like, you have to get this old guy to wake up and be like, dude, it's time to take care of my life. And it's a shame the UFC is still letting him fight. And that's the point I'm at with this one, where I feel like it's shameful that the UFC is still letting him fight because it's ugly when Tony Ferguson gets out there. Wish him all the best, though. Excited to see him at the press conference. He is going to be hilarious in that shit show of an environment that press conference is going to be. And you will see me fade Paddy Pimblett soon, but this is not the time. Paddy inside the distance, -130 for a unit. You are picking Paddy to win the fight, correct?
Yeah, picking Paddy to win the fight. No bet for me, though. If anything, I lean towards fight not to go the distance. -160. A little bit more juicy than Paddy inside the distance, but it's same shift. Tony gets the freak knockout that I will actively cheer for. So I might end up going that way. I'll tweet it out if I do, at Rick HH Sports. Again, both of us going with Paddy Pimblett. Andy locking up Paddy Pimblett inside the distance, -130 for full unit. Right?
Yeah, for one full unit. And I think one last thing with these two fights before we move on.
Mm-hmm.
If you have any free play on your book, free bets sitting around, I feel like Luque or Tony are good for that, just for fun, because you're not losing anything out of it. But yeah, I'm going with Paddy inside the distance. We're both going with the man from Liverpool himself, walking out with that beautiful red Liverpool flag. We will be going on next to a welterweight bout at 170 featuring Shavkat Rakhmonov taking on Stephen Wonderboy Thompson.